So today we're talking about clarity, and I'm pulling up the live stream right now here on TikTok, as well as Zoom and YouTube. So today we're talking about clarity, and we're live. That is amazing. Perfect. And then I'm going to share my screen. But we're talking all about clarity. Once I have it all set up, we'll be good to go. There we go. Welcome, welcome. If you're just joining, we're doing the clarity workshop. We should be good to go. How's everyone doing? So I put together this clarity workshop as a way for us to get unstuck, to have a better understanding and focus on what's important in our lives, not just what people tell us to do, not just what society tells us we have to do, not just our jobs that we have to do, because maybe there are things you want to explore in life or try. And I've realized that anytime I'm stuck, I go for the same questions or I ask myself certain things that allow me to have somewhat of a breakthrough. And it was over this past year in summer that I realized, okay, I can't be the only one going through this. So let me put something together so I know exactly, just so I know I'm not the only one going through this, is what I'm getting at. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So let me make sure we're recording. But this is the workbook. You can pick one up on my website. If you're in my TC community, it's part of being in the community. So either way, you can just buy the book or just join, but it's all going to be showing here publicly. So don't feel pressure to purchase anything. I also offer one-on-one coaching. So if that interests you, go ahead and sign up for coaching. So we're just going to go through, I know it says 50 pages. Don't get intimidated by that. It's a lot of just filling in the blanks for you to work at your leisure, to do on your own. But I put together all of these prompts or questions or words because when I sat with them, I realized, oh, that made more sense when I did it this way. That made more sense when I answered this question. So basically, I just want to thank you for purchasing the Clarity Workbook. This is what you're going to get. This is what you're seeing. I'm not hiding anything. It's all out there. But my intentions are to provide you with the necessary tools in your life to operate with as much understanding, knowledge, and love and for self as you navigate life on a day-to-day and prioritizing your goals, dreams, and of course your freedom. This is all begin this I can read, I promise. And this all begins with getting to know yourself from the inside out. Okay? It is also key to disrupt habits and patterns that have kept us in the same hamster wheel with little to no progress. Then we will move forward on to reframing limiting mindsets, focus on gratitude, and start taking steps towards our new lives. Future you deserves a chance. Say, I am ready. I am ready. So clarity, care for yourself. So if you've been following me or not, one of my slogans here at Transaction Care is care for yourself, care for your wealth. And if you see me looking this way, it's because I'm live on TikTok as well. So shout out to everyone watching, whether it's on YouTube, Zoom, or TikTok. We're here and we're making it happen. And go ahead and drop a comment if you do have questions. But care for yourself, care for your wealth. That is something that came to me as I was starting my business because I noticed a lot of people I was working with simply just didn't care about their clients. They didn't care about their TCs. They just wanted to get the job done, which is fine. But at the same time, the quality of service, in my opinion, was suffering because the agent was just wanting to get paid. They just wanted to skip the line and get paid and not care for their clients. So I realized, well, if they're not going to care, I have to care. And if one way of caring for myself is going the extra mile or putting the extra effort into getting the job done correctly, then I will do that. And if that means severing ties with them, I'm going to do that. But the only way I achieve this way of self, advocating for myself or simply caring for myself is getting to know myself. And caring for yourself is caring for the greater parts of, you. And the question I want to pose to you is, how are you caring for yourselves? How are you caring for yourself? These are a few main areas of our lives that require our attention, either on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, or seasonal. And if you want to join me and see the workbook, it is on YouTube. So in case you're on TikTok wondering like who am I talking to? I'm going through my workbook as we speak. So how are you caring for yourself? These are a few main areas in our lives that require our attention, either on a daily, weekly, monthly, seasonal basis. And as often as we check in, as often as we check our car's oil, how others are doing, dropping everything for everyone else. But what about you? Check-ins are necessary. Care is subjective, but I do encourage you to consider these main categories, rate them today versus how you want them to be in the future. Okay. Self-improvement takes time, and this is your journey. So take action where you feel it is necessary, but always make sure to give attention to the other areas as well. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So we're going to start with mindset. Where are you mentally today? I know that's a broad category, but in terms of how you feel mentally, emotionally, what is going on in here? Like, how would you rate it if you had to rate it 1 through 10? I would say for me, I'm anywhere between a 6 and an 8 consistently. Today, I feel like a strong 8. Why not a 10? Because I always feel like there's something going on, and I need to learn how to settle down with doing too many things, too much busy work, and focusing on my priorities. When am I most out of 10? I would probably say as soon as I wake up, just blessed in a state of gratitude, and I think it's okay for it to, you know, ebb and flow, but I would say on a consistent basis, I'm anywhere between a 6 and an 8, and today I'm at an 8. Yesterday I was at probably a 6, just because Mondays are usually tougher than usual, as we all can agree on. Mondays can be tougher, and I just felt challenged yesterday. I felt a sense of insecurity. And for a while there, I was just kind of sitting in silence, not knowing which decision to make. And then I realized I was getting into a functional freeze. I was starting to get decision fatigue, and I just put everything down and walked away. I took a deep breath, made sure I ate, hydrated, and was like, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. We're going to start fresh. Anything I can do and control today, I will do that. But if I can't, then I'm going to walk away and just start fresh in the morning, because today was not one of those days that I felt my best. And it's not every day, but in terms of just my mind, I like to get a good grip over it. And when I say good grip, I mean establishing the tools that I know work for me, which is prayer, journaling, exercise. I went for a walk yesterday. I made sure I was hydrated. I probably didn't eat the best things, and usually what I eat as well will impact how I think and operate. So this is why we're kind of doing a bit of a quick self audit, because we want to know, okay, man, yeah, I've been neglecting the spiritual part of me, whether it's prayer or church or reading the word or participating in Bible studies, whatever, spiritual means to you. Everyone's practices are different. So I'm not here to categorize this into one, you know, um, I'm not here to assign this to a certain faith or religion. It's just spiritually, if this is something that's part of your life, where does it rank today? Emotional. So, how we feel, what's going on, If this is all related to, let's say, our business, then I would probably say business wise, I'm not feeling that strong, but I'm feeling very optimistic. Two things can exist at once. And I've realized that emotionally, if I allow my feelings to dictate my day-to-day routine or habits or to-do list or just existence, then I'm usually 9 times out of 10 going to just stay in bed. If I let my feelings run my day, if I let my emotions and feelings control my outcomes, when it's like we can't control any outcomes or dictate my mood. So emotionally, I acknowledge my feelings. And like yesterday, I was not having the best day. I realized that, okay, what can I do to reset? Mondays are always tougher. So let me do something different. I am self-employed. I should have led with that, but I am very privileged in the sense that I can take a break for, early in the day to acknowledge what I'm going through. But then the next day, instead of wallowing or sitting in that, I make an effort to, if I have to slick my hair down so it's not bothering me in my face, if I have to, create a uniform for myself so I'm not having to decide what I'm wearing and allowing these little things to trip me up throughout the day, then I'll do that. And how I am emotionally will impact, how I feel physically. And I started to incorporate weekly exercises and walking, breathing, stretching, just movement and acknowledging my body once, 1 to 3 times a week. And I've noticed a significant increase in my emotional, mental, spiritual well-being once I started to prioritize my body. And that doesn't mean fitness, which is why I added fitness as its own category. It's physical, meaning am I going to get my regular checkups? Is the shampoo or conditioner I'm working still good? Like, am I flossing regularly? I got teeth work done a couple of years ago, and you have to put in more work to maintain I'm at a loss for words. You have to do more work to maintain what was done versus before. And physically, there's so many things about our bodies that we don't acknowledge. Like started to get eczema. So it's like, what does that mean? So physically, are you acknowledging yourself and taking care of yourself because that will impact your business as well? How are you getting, are you getting enough sleep? Are you waking up early? Are you sleeping late or vice versa? Are you waking up early? Are you sleeping in, but, staying up late? Whatever the case may be. How are you doing physically, right? And then I put fitness here as a category because everyone, I think, requires some sort of movement in their day to day. And it doesn't have to be strenuous. It doesn't have to be the max capacity of weights. It doesn't have to be with a trainer. It could simply be you getting out of bed and doing your stretches, moving your wrist around, wiggling your fingers, standing up instead of sitting at your desk, right? Going to get fresh air, standing outside in the sunshine, walking for 20 minutes, whatever your body requires, are you incorporating it into your weekly, daily habits and routines? And I don't work out every single day, but I found when I had a consistent schedule, 3 days a week for 20 minutes minimum, 1 hour max, I started to see more progress in my fitness goals than I ever have trying to just squeeze it in where it fit or having that added pressure of having a personal trainer. When it's like that just added more stress to my finances, added more stress to my mental because now I'm dragging my feet going to these training sessions when I just like to go pick up a basketball and go shoot some hoops. I like to just um take a step class, go play tennis. Like you have to know what you enjoy and make it fun for yourself. And I found that worked way better than me doing what everyone else was doing, like working with a personal trainer. Not to say that I won't ever work with a personal trainer, but now because I'm aware of my likes and dislikes, I would probably hire a personal trainer that focuses more on basketball or focuses more on tennis or focuses more on just something that brings me joy as well as helps me to stay in good shape. So there's that. Because I know a lot of people don't like the gym. A lot of people don't like the idea of a personal trainer. It's in, gym intimidation is real. I've experienced it. I've had trainers say yuck to my body. I've had people tell me all sorts of things, but because I've taken time to get to know myself and what I enjoy, I now can turn that into an activity that benefits me physically, which in turn will benefit me emotionally, mentally, right? And in turn, it just ripples into better business, better days, better mood. And, last but not least is your nutrition, right? What we eat, what we consume on a daily basis impacts everything I just mentioned here as well, because the days where, like this weekend was Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to any fathers out, all the fathers out there that have, especially fathers, brothers, uncles, whatever. I had a weekend at my parents' house. I was actually at my parents' house for an entire week, and my eating habits there were none. Like there was no good eating at any point in time. I either wasn't eating or just eating a bunch of junk food. And then Sunday rolled around and I was eating so much more junk food, cakes, pies, cookies, you know what I mean? So I was definitely enjoying myself, but I know now at my age of 41, I'm still young, but I also know I'm not as young as I used to be. I feel the sugar rushing through my body. I feel lethargic. I feel fatigue. I feel myself getting easily irritated when I'm eating certain things. Like I know yesterday's mood was impacted and why I had such a crappy day yesterday was because I consumed so much junk food the day before. I had so much chow mein. I had so much fried rice, all these carbs mixed with desserts, sugar, and just laying around. By Monday, I had a food hangover. I'm just now realizing that I had a food hangover yesterday and I don't even drink anymore. So I have to be now, what would I do in this situation? If I want to say my nutrition is at a five, what would I do in this situation to rectify the to rectify it, to be better? I'd be like, okay, Sundays, if I don't want to have a lethargic, Monday where I can't physically work, I need to be more mindful of what I eat and what I indulge in. If I do decide to indulge and have, some cake or cookies, whatever, maybe I do it earlier in the day instead of right before I'm going to sleep. So I have found that nutrition and being aware of what I eat, eating for energy, eating for health, eating for my body type, my DNA, all those things, and what, my goals are in terms of if I have body goals, if I'm in, doing a bodybuilding or gonna go play a basketball game, I need to make sure I'm not always eating or indulging in things that are, more fun compared to a salad. But when I'm back at home like I am today, I eat a lot more cleaner. I have more discipline. So now I guess if I want to up nutrition from a five or a seven, five to a seven, eight, then when I'm outside of my house, I have to realign those eating habits with how I operate here at home. Because if I'm spending a whole week on vacation or at my parents' house, everything's gonna be thrown off. So I need to create a game plan for myself to know, like, okay, if we're gonna indulge on these days, these other days while I'm away need to be reevaluated. Okay, so we got through the whole just rating where we're at today in those specific categories. And if you want to see what I'm looking at, I'm also streaming on YouTube. So bear with me. But what are your dreams, right? Dreams come in all shapes and sizes, but what makes them unique is that they are your dreams. They are yours. And this is a space for you to dream as big or small as you want to, be outlandish, be realistic, a- as much as you want. This is your space, right? And the purpose of this exercise is for you to get your dreams out of your mind and in writing. We have not We have not, oh, see, I found a typo in my own workbook. That's why I do these things, because I'm a one person team. And if sometimes I make mistakes too, but I'm not going to let it ruin my entire day. I'll just go back and fix this. We'll be fine, guys. Don't worry. Um, we may not have the ultimate say when or if your dreams will come true, but I dare you to give yourself a chance to try. Go ahead and dream on. Take your time with this one, but most of all, have fun. So last week, I maybe this was a goal more so than a dream, but I put out there, I was like, okay, I need to make $150 today. And, I believe in God, so I was like, God, I need to make $150 today. And I set the deadline. I was like, in the next 24 hours, I need to do this, I need to do that. And this was on I think I said this on a Wednesday. And then, Wednesday through Thursday happened and I didn't hit that $150 goal. But then Friday rolls around, it's around the end of the day, and all of a sudden I get a sale from my reselling business. And then I get another sale later that day, and it equaled very close to $150. So when your dreams and your goals are also tied to conviction and just this almost outlandish delusional belief of no, it's going to happen. But if I was so tied to it happening within 24 hours, I would have been disappointed because it happened 48 hours later instead. So detaching yourself from the outcome can bring you a lot of clarity as well because now you're focused on it just needs to happen. And I understand the pressures we can experience when it comes to, money, bills are due, lights are about to be shut off, phones about to be shut off. I understand that. But there are ways around that as well to buy you some time to relieve you of those stresses so you can dream big. Believe me, I've been through all of it. I've been through not having money, calling bill collectors the day the bill is due and forgetting, like, oh crap, I was supposed to call them last week. But you get better, and each day, if you just focus on one win and one goal, you'll have less overwhelm, you have more clarity, less stress. And if that day my one goal was to do activities that would make me $150, I'm going to do them. And even if the money came from areas that I wasn't expecting, I'm still in motion towards doing activities that are going to make me that $150 every day. Like, oh, okay. If I want to make $100 a day, $1,000 a day, these are the activities or these are the things and the intentions, the conviction I need to have each and every day when I'm doing something. And if I feel too overwhelmed, let me go look at my dreams page where I've written out all of my outlandish goals so I don't lose focus on what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I understand that when we're dreaming, we have all these things that we want to do today. But if we're tied to it happening at a certain time, most likely you will experience a lot of disappointment. And many of us give up on our goals because we experience disappointment and don't allow our dreams to just happen and flow when they're meant to. So like I said, I may have wanted something within 24 hours, but it happened 48 hours later instead. So you kind of have to pick and choose what. This goes back to our our emotions. If I had allowed my emotions to dictate that outcome, I would have been complaining, I would have been dragging my feet, I would have lost faith, and that's not a state of mind that I want to exist in. I want my mental mindset to stay at around an 8 on a consistent basis. And when I know what my dreams are, I know that, okay, well, as long as I'm operating in this space of my dreams, I'll be fine because it's going to happen at some point in time. I believe it. I know it because I wrote it down and now I'm putting in the action to make it happen. And believe me, when I say dream big and be outlandish, I mean it because we'll say things like, oh, I want to meet my favorite musician or I want to travel the world. Like, get specific. Who's your favorite musician? I was once in a room with Prince. Like, Prince was inches away from me. I wouldn't have that wouldn't have ever happened if I didn't put myself out there. If I didn't make the connections that I did because I always wanted to promote parties. So along the way, I met all these DJs and promoters, which allowed me entrance into these parties for free. Security guards, made friends that also knew other people. Not to be an opportunist or anything, but I'm just saying, when you allow yourself to experience your dreams, they will take you into rooms and places that you couldn't even have ever imagined, beyond what you can even dream of in reality. And it's always for your benefit. But it's up to you to be so convicted in your dreams and your goals that you're willing to wait or make mistakes along the way or fail or be disappointed, but not to the point of, you know, giving up. Okay. So now, similar process with our goals, right? So the next page is, what are our goals? Many dreams come into fruition based on setting goals and taking action. For now, we just want to focus on prioritizing our main goal or top three goals. You can have as many as you want, but pro tip is to keep in mind is to take your big goal or goals and break them up into smaller actionable steps. This helps decrease the time it takes to make a decision, take action, which can lead to decision fatigue. And consider all your real life, the capacity you have to perform, what you're willing to sacrifice or stop, and what you're open to taking on in this season of accomplishment. You are in charge of your life, dreams, goals. So start creating the new roadmap headed towards your success. That's what I wrote in the workbook. So, excuse me. Here I have the goals section broken down into career, personal, and then 100 goals. Dream big, write it out. Okay? Dream big, write it out. I posted on TikTok the other day, actually. If you had 100 goals, would you would you be able to list out 100 goals? Doesn't have to be all today. Like, one of your goals can be to write, to think about 100 goals that you would like to accomplish in this lifetime, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the outcome. And the example I used was, my dream car, right? I already had my dream car when I was in my 20s. I went through it. It eventually got repossessed. I got it back and then I gifted it to my dad. It was a process, but I learned from that my dreams aren't always tied to material things, but if and when they are, I'm able to now reassess versus being impulsive and saying, no, I'm going to go buy that Lamborghini Urus. It's like, okay, wait, calm down, right? Because I wasn't thinking originally when I bought that car of the maintenance. I wasn't thinking about the gas, the insurance, the liability, which increased my insurance because now I'm buying a car with a strong engine that guzzles up a bunch of gas. I'm driving everywhere, so I'm needing to fill up my tank, every 4 days. So that's more stress, more expenses. Not to mention tires are expensive. So buying a very expensive vehicle isn't just a check, off a box that you can just check off because now you have to maintain it. You have to be able to afford these monthly payments until it's paid off. And that's something I didn't consider in the beginning. So that was a young mistake I made. But now, fast forward, I realized living in San Francisco, I don't need a car. In fact, having a car is more stressful because you have to worry about break-ins on top of the maintenance, windows getting shattered on a weekly, daily basis. It's no fun. But then if I want a garage, okay, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. But if I wanted to go after a Lamborghini Urus, right? Lambo Lil. If I wanted to become Lambo Lil, who do I need to become? How much do I need to make? How much do I need to put aside for emergencies? Same process with buying a home, buying new clothes, starting a new business, right? It's like you're thinking beyond just the purchase. what are some of the long-term things I could be mindful and aware of in order for me to make this happen with little with as little stress and as much ease as possible. So, is this something that I absolutely need to buy, or is this something that I can rent? Is this something that I can borrow? Is this something, it's just an itch I need to scratch and I just need to go to the dealership and look at it and test drive it? That's why when you buy a house, you go to the open house. You read the paperwork, you read the inspections, you ask questions. And you may realize those dreams that you've been holding on to that you didn't, was just a quick itch that you needed to scratch. And the real goal was becoming the person that makes that type of money to afford those things, but doesn't necessarily buy those things. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense because so often we get wrapped up in it. No, it has to happen this way. Trying to control the outcome when it's like you just got to plant the seed and put in the work to get closer and closer to that dream or that goal happening. And if you're someone that isn't able to have dreams or goals, what is a certain outcome that you desire? Work towards that and then keep building on top of that as you begin, as you continuously evolve and as you continue to evolve and grow in whatever business or career you choose. So, going back to goals, what are some career goals you want at this point in time? One of mine clearly is to grow my community, to have more of you tuning in, to be there's construction happening. Excuse me 1 second. I have to close my door. Of course, there was all this loudness happening outside, but that's a part of life, right? There's so much happening around us. Like, what am I just gonna end the live because all of a sudden there's sawing happening outside of my house? I don't know who it is, but my windows are open so I can hear it loud and clear. It sounds like they're sawing wood in my house as we speak. I can either let that deter me and end this live and just start over or never come back to do this again, or I can just close my door so I can focus on helping you all, whoever's watching, drop a comment, let me know um, how I'm doing so far. If you have any questions, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat over here so you guys can explore the workbook, for yourself. But I think it's important just to know yourself and have that clarity of what it is you actually want to focus on. Because maybe some of your sadness or your depression or your anxiety is attached to just not knowing what you need or what you want to focus on. And I have those days where I lose sight of what it is I'm focused on, which is, I'm human. So I give myself that grace. But at the same time, when I go back and look and say, okay, XYZ are my goals. Have I done anything today to get closer to accomplishing those? And if my one goal today is to hire one new client, what have I done to achieve that? And knowing those smaller steps that it requires. Did I send my email newsletter? Did I DM 3 people? Did I go live? Did I post my content? Did I reply to the emails that I already got? Did I do the work in my inbox, right? So if I do those, if it just requires me to do 5 things in a day, every single day until I get those new clients, because I'm focused on my career and personal goals, then I've then that's a win for me. Even if I don't get the monetary results that day, I know it's going to happen because I'm putting in the work. And I do leave room for just randomness, random blessings, and random people finding me because I know I put in the work in the past, posting, DMing, emailing, responding. Just being diligent and consistent in those ways have made me more focused and clear on this path because I know what I'm working towards. So if you know what your personal goals are, it could be to visit all 50 states. So for me, one of my goals, one of my personal goals is to visit every major league ballpark in the United States, in North America, I should say, because there's some in Canada as well. Well, there's one in Canada. Anyway, you get the point. So rather than visiting every state in the country, I want to visit every ballpark. So how am I going to do that? It can happen during baseball season. If my goal is just to see the ballpark from the outside, I could do that any time of the year. But if my goal now is to visit my favorite team play at every ballpark, then now that becomes a lot more clear. And I know from April to around September, October, I have an opportunity to make that happen as many times as I can throughout the season. So it's up to you to write it out. I feel like when we write things out on paper, they're more likely to happen because, again, that clarity allows for focus. So now we're focused on achieving said goal. If your goal is to make $1,000 a week, what are some $1,000 activities you can do within your career and business? Side hustles, what skills do you have? And just putting it all out there, okay? So we're moving on to now, what is your why? Now, this is important, okay? Having a strong why, and excuse me, sorry if that was loud. So what is your why? Everyone has personal reasons as to why they choose a certain path or make decisions that impact their life, right? But what are those choices rooted in? Do you have a solid foundation to stand on as you navigate through life? In this case, your why is or are your reasons you do what you do and why your dreams are important and accomplishing your goals are necessary. Why is there so much noise in my neighborhood right now? A strong foundation such as your why serves as a reminder for you in your toughest and best times to either keep going, remember the plan, the vision that is bigger than settling for good enough, or worse, giving up. Some additional layers you can add to your why are choosing a word of the year and clearly defining what success means to you. I mean, if I were you, I would, I did good. I did good with this one. I'm gonna have to give myself a pat on the shoulder. But it took me years to get to this point, to get to defining my why, to understanding the importance of this part of clarity. What are my reasons? Why am I doing any of this? Because I know I've had more days where even when I was operating, in my zone of genius, or when I did write out my why, I'm human, so I would forget. I would lose focus. I would get distracted. I would get discouraged, and I'd want to give up. But then I'd go back and be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. You're going to experience failure. You're going to experience disappointment. You're going to experience delays. But what is denied is not delayed. And you want another one? Okay. Minor setback for a major comeback. Okay. And everything does happen for a reason, even when it feels like everything's going wrong. It's all a part of the process. And yesterday I kept seeing trust the process, trust the process. And last year, my word of the year was trust. And this year, my word of the year is discipline, which we're going to get into right now because I've learned that having a theme to my year or a word that I want to embody, again, adds to that clarity and that focus that is required of me to develop as a person, to not be stuck in my same ways, to not, to just be better overall. And one year my word was courage. I still have the word on my wall with the definition. Shout out to my coach. She gifted that to me. Last year it was trust. So I came up with this motto, trust God, trust myself, trust the process, and eventually trust the abundance. And throughout the year, it was all about just do the work, do the work, do the work. And then fast forward now to 2025, and as we're approaching 2026, which is wild to me, I have learned discipline in so many different ways that if I didn't allow discipline to be my focus this year, I would have missed out on a great opportunity to learn that part of me. And that was a part of me that I had neglected for 40 years. I wouldn't say that's a little dramatic. I would just definitely say in my 30s, I lost a lot of me and I had to basically let go and shed a lot of who I thought I was. And any moment I found myself, being set in my ways or not challenging myself to grow beyond my beliefs, it was when I went back to, okay, what is my word of the year? What is, what is my why? What are my reasons? And am I being grounded in those decisions, or did I veer off and lose sight of my why and my word of the year? And am I being undisciplined? Am I not trusting myself? Am I not trusting the process? Am I feeling discouraged and am I lacking confidence? So putting together this clarity workbook, I realized when I was doing all this stuff, I was then achieving what I defined as success. So when I first quit my job in 2018, my why was outside of taking care of family. I just wanted to work from home and not have to wear a bra. That was my why. And if I could do work that would allow me to work from home and not have to put on a bra every day, because when I was working at my 9 to 5, they made such a big deal out of me dressing up. And when I had gotten injured and I ruptured my Achilles, I got to dress down a little bit. So I kind of pushed back. And this is why I know I'm not meant to like work in certain types of environments because I will push back. I will challenge the norm. Like, how does me wearing slacks every day make this a better environment? When no one comes in the office, no one sees us working. It'd be very weird if we got phone calls or emails of people asking us, like, what are you wearing? That doesn't sit right with me. So why do I have to show up to the office, dressed up every single day? I mean, but again, it wasn't my company, it wasn't my rules. But once I got out of that, I realized my definition of success is not the same as their definition of success. So I had to define what that meant to me and align myself with that definition and not aligning myself with someone else's definition of success. Someone else's definition of success could be to become a millionaire, but then in the process of them becoming a millionaire, they their relationships suffer. They have no relationships. They have people in their life that love them or care for them or vice versa, but there's no connection. So to me, would I love to be a millionaire? Absolutely. But the only way that that is a success for me is if I maintain relationships and connections with the people that I love, that I include and involve the people that I love and like, and I know that would benefit from my decisions. And if it aligns with their definition of success, then let's work together. Otherwise, if I'm continuing to do this alone and I have no foundation, no support system, honestly, I don't think I would want it. Like if someone came up to me today and said, here's $1 million check to clear all your financial worries, you don't have to worry about anything. And I know $1 million sadly is not enough money in today's society, but I would make it work. But if someone came up to me and was like, here's $1 million, but you can't talk to your family ever again, I wouldn't take it. It's not worth it. I would rather do the work on my own to get to achieve that $1 million that would include my reasons and my why. I had to learn over the years that money is just a tool, a resource. I don't even call it my money anymore. I just say the money. And those moments where I get caught up in my money, my money, my money is when I'm suffering the most mentally and emotionally because now I'm becoming attached to it. I'm idolizing it in a way that isn't supposed to be done. I'm making it a part of my identity. I used to think that money, my value, I used to tie my value into money so much to the point that after I would pay bills, I'd be so depressed. After I'd spend a weekend having fun with people I enjoyed, I'd be so depressed. Whereas now I have way less money than I've ever had in my life. When I spend quality time with the people I enjoy and am intentional about my spending, I'm aware of my spending. I'm aware of my definition of success. I experience so much more joy. So you define what success means to you. It could be going to the park every weekend and buying your favorite sandwich and hanging out with your cousins. And on the higher end, it could be going to see Beyonce on tour. That's a personal definition of success to me. If I can afford to go to a Beyonce concert, that's what I'm going to prioritize. But I don't need to go to every single concert in between there like I used to. My definition of success is being able to contribute for holidays and birthdays. My definition of success is I can afford my rent, my food, water, and going out once a week, once a month. Being able to afford a brand new course so I can learn about podcasting, being able to afford, and it doesn't have to be related to money. Definition of success is I go live on YouTube once a week. I post content every single day, whether it makes me money or not. It's the fact that I did it that is considered a success. So you define what that is for you. And then when it comes to money, this is where we go into this next. But if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I'm talking until and I feel my throat my voice getting a little hoarse. So care for your wealth. So earlier it was all about caring for yourself. Now the next element is caring for your wealth. Okay. So wealth. Okay, I just had to make sure the live still had sound. And if you guys are still watching, make sure you subscribe, follow, leave a comment, whether you're watching the replay or you're here with me live. I'd like to know who's here. I can't see anyone, so I can't tell who's here or not. But the next segment is care for your wealth. So this is where we're talking finances as well as resources, things that we define as wealth. So earlier we worked on ourselves in terms of who we are, getting clarity into our lives, our business, our careers, our personal well-being. And now we're going to get into the topic a little bit more about money, things of that nature. So, how are you caring for your wealth? Wealth, much like our dreams. Oh, see, another typo. Should be our. I wrote all this myself, guys. I didn't use any chat GPT or anything like that. So, like I said, I'm human. Bear with me. I'm going to fix these when we're done, and then we're going to re-upload them so you guys have the correct version. And if you see anything you want me to add to it, let me know. This is a constantly ever evolving workbook. So, wealth, much like our dreams, can be subjective to the person and their experiences. Wealth can be the people in your life, your health, your mind, your creativity, the list goes on and on. Wealth can also be money, like what's in your wallet, your bank accounts, your net worth, your assets, your salary, your income, which is why it is vital to make the time, why it is vital to make the time to acknowledge, audit, budget, and care for your wealth. Are you cringing or celebrating? So when I bring up these topics, are you guys cringing? Like, oh God, I don't want to talk about money right now. Or are you on the other side of the spectrum? Are you like, yes, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's get clear. Let's get, let's face it. Or maybe you're somewhere in the middle. Either way, feel the feels, but make sure you're also being honest about your financial well-being and make the necessary adjustments to improve your overall well-being as well. So, how are you caring for your wealth? The topic of money can be very sensitive. I understand that. Trauma-inducing, difficult. So, take your time with this part. If you were one of those that fell in the cringe category, it's okay. Believe me, I have been in many situations where I was in financial hardship, despair, and even bouts with depression and self-pity took over. So, you're not alone in this. I get it. If you want to connect with me one-on-one, visit my website because I want to help you. I want to be a resource and an advocate and just a source of inspiration and light in your journey. You don't have to go through this alone. I once did, and now that's why I'm creating these live workshops and creating this content because I don't want you to feel or think and believe that you're alone in this or that you should harbor shame and allow that to stop you from making any changes because I once sat in my shame and in my guilt and in my despair because I was too embarrassed to admit that I was in debt. I was too embarrassed to admit that I was failing in my business. When failure is just data, failure is just, hey, time to reassess, time to redo some things, time to, fix a few bolts here and there, or replace this whole section over here, or maybe close it down. You're not a failure if you have to close a business down or walk away from opportunities. I've gone through a lot, and that's why I want to share it all with you and make this experience a lot less daunting on you. But that is also a choice you must make. I can't do the work for you. I can inspire you and give you all the tools and resources all day. I can motivate you. But if you're not doing anything with the resources, if you're not taking action on a daily basis or as often as it requires, or whatever your goals are, then that's on you. And accountability is key as well in this process, is taking accountability, saying, dang, I messed up, but this isn't me. This isn't my identity. I'm not going to allow this to stop me or create these weights on my shoulder that I'm trying to carry for no reason. I just pinched a nerve in my neck, carrying too many bags, not asking for help, just doing too much. And it kept me out of the game for a month, 4 to 5 weeks of just pain and suffering until it eventually melted away and I dealt with it head on. Instead of being stuck in my ways, not asking for help, not going to the professionals, not admitting that I was suffering. No, I did the opposite. I said, hey, doc, I need help. Please help me. My whole entire left arm is killing me. But every time I massage it, it doesn't go away. And as I kept talking and talking, she said, oh, it's because you have a pinched nerve in your neck. It's not your arm, it's your neck and your head. So be careful. I would have made it worse trying to do everything on my own. So don't feel like through this process, if you're suffering financially and it's affecting you emotionally, which then triggers, you to not take care of yourself, or it triggers emotions that affect you and impact you physically, emotionally, mentally. Just put it all out there. That's why I created this workbook, is for you to not feel like you have to keep it all locked in here. Get it out on paper. Even if you don't share it with anyone, just get it all out on paper. Record yourself doing this workbook. You don't even have to post it. It's just being able to let go and shedding some of this BS that we hold on to all the time that prevents us from elevating or getting to the next step in our life. And that's not always rooted in making more money. Sometimes making more money makes it worse because we never learned how to take care of the little bit of money that we had. So just know you're not alone in this journey. I created this workbook for a reason. So we're going through it right now. If you want to see the workbook, I'm live on YouTube as well. And TikTok, you could just hear me talking about it. YouTube can see the actual workbook. But everyone's journey isn't perfect, but it is your journey. So, pro tip, there is an answer, a solution to breaking through that holds benefits deeper than any dollar or money can ever purchase. And if and when you are stuck, lean on gratitude and thankfulness. It's up to you if you want to believe that or not. But I write in my gratitude journey journal 3 times a day. And then once a week, I collect in my wins journal. And then I also keep a regular journal. And if journaling saved my life, journaling led me back into believing that I'm capable of doing more. Journaling led me back to building a relationship with God. Journaling made me realize that I need to give back to the people in ways that they're not being served. And I need to get out of my comfort zone and just put a workbook together. Don't worry about what it looks like because it's not about the art, it's about the value. And the more value I can provide you all, the better I sleep at night. Okay? And I know it's not all about me, it's about you and your journey. So, how are you going to proceed? All right, let us proceed. So, clarity now, we're going to list a few different ways that, um, you know, how we're caring for ourselves with our finances, when we give back with ourselves, like, do you pay yourself? Do you treat yourself? Do you think you're making enough money? Do you want to raise? Do you want to get a side hustle? When you give back, do you want to give back monetarily, with your time, volunteering, teaching, creating content? It's up to you. Taxes. Sorry, guys. We have to talk about taxes. Are you paying your taxes? How much are you putting aside for taxes? Do you have an accountant? Do you need an accountant? Do you need a financial advisor or consultant? I don't, oh, what the heck? Oops. I don't recommend you hire someone to just take care of everything for you. I think you should know your numbers. I think it's important to know your numbers and relinquish the parts that you are unable to do physically, like the adding and subtracting, but you should definitely know how much you make, how much taxes that you anticipate you're gonna have to pay, and accept it. Just accept that you have to pay taxes. You can't avoid it. You can, I mean, you can postpone the due dates, which I have done, but I've also paid on time. So it just varies on the season you're in, but be real with yourself and just know that we got to pay the taxes. Like right now, I'm in a process of like figuring out, okay, crap, how am I going to pay for my taxes by October, paying my accountant, paying for my LLC, getting all of my receipts and everything in order, but then also factoring, okay, do I really want to, do I want to buy a house? How much am I going to actually deduct? Did I even make enough this year? It is stressful, this section alone, taxes, but I think the sooner you accept the harder parts of it all, like I said, the more ease you'll have when it comes to actually facing it. Because you're facing it now, you're accepting that this is a part of the lifestyle that you're living earlier rather than, oh crap, it's April. Oh crap, my quarterly taxes are due. You're not scrambling and then making impulsive, disorganized decisions, which then makes it a lot easier to pay your bills and also focus on you building your savings. And savings could look anything like just cutting your costs, like saving money there, or actually putting money away in a separate bank account, whether it's investing in the stock market, life insurance, stocks and bonds. There are different ways of saving money, a money market account, a high yield savings account. I like to use SoFi. So there's different ways of saving money, but you have to be disciplined in that and making sure that in these six areas, that's where your money and attention is going and not forgetting yourself. I should have put self up here, but I wanted to just kind of generalize finances as a whole. And then giving back is important too, because I think when you give back, you will receive it tenfold all the time. Maybe not in the same exact way you gave, but in some way, shape, or form. The give back, it's like boomerang. I call it boomerang money. It just keeps coming back in some way, shape, or form. So, we're going to kind of, I know we still have a few more pages to go, but we're going to breeze through this real quick. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm glad to help you schedule a one-on-one. You can buy this workbook. It's only $7. If you want more attached to it, I suggest you invest the $7 in my TC community. And everything can be found on transactioncare.com because my TC community has more access to other content that doesn't go live on social media. So they're going to get their own podcast. They get coaching one-on-one with me. They get their own separate calendar as well as just other exclusives that I don't post publicly. So if that interests you, you can just either spend $7 to get the workbook and that's it, or spend $7 and gain access to a whole community of like-minded individuals that are in the same boat, or at least maybe have gotten out and can offer their help and expertise as well. And I'm very active in there. I post new content every week within the community. So give it a try. Visit transactioncare.com or just ask me here. I'll post a link in the chat too. It's on Patreon, which is like a third party um like community hosting platform. And I'm gonna pin it so you can see it. So that's how you join my TC community. But if you just want the workbook, then just buy the workbook. It's on my website. So, all right, let's move on. So now you want to list out all your current expenses. So that could be anywhere from your rent, your mortgage, electricity, garbage. You get the idea. Anything that gets taken out of your bank account on a recurring basis, whether it's once a year, once a month, once a week, write it all out. Just write it all out. Then you want to list all your current debts. So right now I'm kind of sinking in some credit card debt. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm gonna be honest with my situation because last year I had a crappy business year. I just wasn't connected. I wasn't in alignment with my business. So I decided to take somewhat of a sabbatical and just live off of my savings and credit cards, which was now looking back, not the smartest decision, but I live in I live and I learn. And that was one of those years that I needed to go through to fully experience and get to where I'm at today, which is much more stronger mentally, physically, emotionally. Thank God, and God willing, the debts will clear itself over time. But I now know what it requires of me and how often I need to show up. Just simply showing up. It doesn't mean I'm always making money, but just showing up, whether it's doing these live streams or posting on social media, it's just doing what I know works as well as being open to learning new things that can work in my favor to get these things done. And if that means calling creditors and saying, hey, I don't have it this month and being vulnerable in that sense, then that's a win in my book. All right, then you want to list all of your savings. So you might have different types of accounts. You might keep money in your Apple Pay. You might keep money in a high yield savings account. You might keep money, in your Roth IRA, SEP IRA, traditional IRA, life insurance. What is the one, this is how disconnected I am from the working 9 to 5 world. Your pension, your 401k. There's so many different ways that we have savings. So list them all there. And then now you want to organize everything when it's due. Even if it's due monthly, weekly, annually, put it out there. Everything due in January, even if it's recurring, everything in January. If it's 20 things, put all 20 things. In February, if it's 40 things, list all 40 things. If If it's two things, list two things, right? You just want to see everything that you have, right? So next phase, this is the fun part. So now you want to see you have a visual of everything that's due, and you don't have to use this, if you want to use a different method or maybe you have your own method, that's fine. But the purpose of this is to get clarity on what you are paying. Like, where's your money going? When was the last time you checked on where your money was going? This is that time, okay? So next, you want to ask yourself as you're going through everything that's on that list, what do I want to keep? What do I want to cancel? And what do I want to pause? For example, I don't have as many real estate transactions right now. That's by choice. So I've decided to pause my transaction management platform, right? I didn't cancel it. I just paused it, and they're perfectly fine with me pausing it. Then I move on. So now I save myself an extra 60 bucks a month until I decide to reactivate it. Certain things I've canceled. So I canceled at one point, I canceled my Zoom because I wasn't using it like I am today. I wasn't taking on coaching clients last year because I decided to step away. So I canceled my Zoom. And when I decided to come back, I reactivated it. So it's similar to pausing it, but other things you can cancel for good could be let me see what are some things that I had canceled for good because yeah, this one right here. Because I canceled so much stuff. Oh, so you can cancel things um like a Costco membership, Amazon Prime. I mean, everything is pause or cancelable, but what I'm getting at is if you're suffering financially and you feel like you're hemorrhaging money on a weekly, monthly basis, take some time to see what you want to keep, cancel, and pause. Plain and simple. And you could cancel buying coffee every week. I know people always use that cheesy example, but it's what came into my mind just now. I could pause how often I use the big light in my house to save on energy and just use candles or something like that. There are bigger examples. It's what I'm saying is like, okay, do you want to keep this house? That's a big example. Or do I need to sell it and just downsize my place? Or is my ego telling me I need to keep it? Because if so, that's fine. Keep the house, but get a side hustle, get a second job. And I'm talking to myself too, not just about my house, but when I go through those moments of financial burden and financial overwhelm, am I doing myself a disservice or service when it comes to the steps I'm taking to be honest about my decisions? If my biggest expense is a car payment, which at one point it was, I have to make a big decision. Okay, if the job I'm working now is not enough to afford this car, what can I do to not just keep the car, but also afford it and afford my lifestyle? Okay, so maybe for 3 months, I start doing DoorDash. We canceled Uber over here, but maybe for the next 3 months, and it doesn't have to be forever, it's just a few months to temporarily get you back on track. We do DoorDash, or maybe we start vlogging. What skills do I have that I can monetize? If I know how to sew, I'm going to get my behind on YouTube or TikTok and go live, start sewing, and then create a shop, create a workbook, tutorials, and sell them. I know it sounds easier said than done, but that's why we have this clarity workbook, okay? So think about some things you want to keep, cancel, or pause, and there's that. So now we want to get some clarity on our jobs, our careers, our businesses. And let's explore your career status. You're either someone that wants to feel better about their current job, quit their job to be self-employed and or start a business, or maybe you're unemployed. Wherever you are in your career, some additional clarity is always helpful. I came up with this process one day as I was evaluating why I kept falling short of my goals. So I laid it all out, as you will see in the categories below. So I'm working on my clarity workbook right now that I've put together. And this exercise is intended to bring awareness into the present moment, but also help you see where you may be lacking and how you can step it up, take action, and get that much closer to your new life. Yes. You won't be the same after this. And having clarity in our life and in our business sometimes means letting go of old versions of ourselves, letting go of habits that keep us on these hamster wheels, okay? Okay, what hamster wheel or wheels are you stuck on? Because you may be going from one hamster wheel to the next and don't even realize it. Okay. So, are there any side hustles you can start now to either bring in extra cash, aka giving yourself a raise, or work towards and develop additional skills to invest towards your new career or business? Okay. And then the gaps. What are the gaps? I'm glad you asked. They are the pieces of your job, career, business that are missing, that you either need to improve on or can still work on before you quit, such as making more sales if you work in retail, commit to one video a week if you're a content creator on YouTube. That one is personal. That one's for me. Asking for a raise, asking for more work hours. The in between are the decisions you make to change the trajectory of your life. I heard online someone's frame it this as your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. And then your new life. What does this look like and feel like? So, jobs, careers, businesses, we're still in this category in the clarity workbook. But moment of transparency, my in between moment of clarity was realizing for years I had been abandoning myself, avoiding my bigger goals, and choosing complacency over action, aka my couch, my bed. I was not doing anything to change the trajectory of my life or get any closer to my dreams coming true. I relied on instant gratification, which I do not recommend anyone do. And when instead I needed to embody and endure my goals and dreams until they became reality, aka my new life. Hence why I made this and many other workbooks, training videos, and other materials to help you. I needed to take my own advice and do the thing to get to the thing. All right. So this portion of the workbook is, what is the hamster wheel you're on? So it could be your current job, right? So let's just say you work at a gas station. And you don't want to work at a gas station, but that's where you are right now, which is fine, but you're just not happy and you're ready to move on. But you have to keep this gas station job for the next 6 months. But you have time before and after work to do side hustles. So if your goal is to save up for a car, what are some side hustles that you can do to not just meet your goal, but to also feed into your new reality outside of this gas station job? Okay. So you can start a car washing business. If you work at a gas station, you're going to see a bunch of cars all day, every day. So why not talk to people and say, hey, here's my card. I also have a car washing business, or leave it out. You got to follow rules if it's not allowed, but if and when the opportunity presents itself, you have time to do side hustles, reselling, fixing cars. And this is just based on the example I'm using of if you worked at a gas station and that's your hamster wheel. Your hamster wheel could be working your 9 to 5, but you work a 9 to 5 at a doctor's office, but you've always had a dream of working in real estate. So if you feel like the job you're at is at a hamster wheel, what are some side hustles or even just side activities that you can do to feed into what your new life is going to look like? So it could be watching, spending 1 hour a day either applying for jobs or using the skills you already have to reach out to people in the industry that you desire to work in and say, hey, my weekends are free. Can I help you with open houses? Or I'm good at fixing cars, so let me help someone in real estate fix their car. And then that's my way of working myself into real estate. Going to open houses, handing out business cards. But the whole purpose of this is to get clarity, is to, I feel stuck here, but this is where I want to be. And even if my goal is to get it done in 6 months, I'm still open to leaving space to that either happening sooner or just a little later. But it's only going to happen if I put in the work and invest the time to know where I'm at with myself. And that's why I put this clarity workbook together, because sometimes we don't realize that there are gaps and the in-betweens that we could be working on. So if you're on a hamster wheel, all right, what are some side hustles that I could work on to get me out of this mindset of I'm stuck. I hate my job, life sucks. Because I've been there. But it was when I was putting in work and slowing things down and checking in with myself and knowing why I wanted to do anything is when I got myself out of there. So even if I did fall back into, oh crap, bills are due, I'm not making as much money, I didn't feel that heavy burden or stress because I knew, all right, well, this is what I need to do in the in between. I'm going to work, I'm going to study, I'm going to communicate to those around me, whether it's a bill collector or a family member or friend, like, yo, I don't have it this weekend. This is what I'm working on. I'm just going to remain disciplined and obedient and patient in that. Um, so the gaps are basically areas that you could fill within your career, um, as you're working towards whether it's getting a raise, a new position in your field, or starting a business, um, and just utilizing the skills and the knowledge you have in between, and not just settling for what's in front of you, but exploring different ways that maybe you don't hate your job, you just haven't given yourself a chance to do other things within that field or to meet new people. So what are those gaps that are holding you back or that you're not aware of that you can be identifying and exploring? And then in between that time of, okay, I'm stuck, in between, you're putting action towards making it happen. Little by little. You don't have to overextend yourself to achieve all of this overnight. And I know it could be tough when bills are due and you feel miserable, but that's why this whole clarity workbook is there, because you're already aware of, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your financial well-being. Like in the in between, can you volunteer? Can you give back? What skills do you have that you can put into your future that would fill those gaps for you, that instead of filling them with sadness and depression and despair and woe is me, you fill it with joy. And what brings you joy? It could be one little tiny thing. It could be, I love listening to this person sing, so I'm going to play their music on repeat while I work. Or I'm just going to dance. I'm going to have a dance session every 10 minutes. I'm going to pray. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to journal. I'm going to offer my help, whether I get paid or not. But this is feeding into my next steps of my life and in my business. I'm going to fill these gaps with things that are beneficial to me as well as others, instead of being stuck on that hamster wheel. In fact, in the in between, I'm going to dismantle this hamster wheel until I get to my new life, which is now this open road, this open path that you have the power, you have more power to design than you even realize. So I went through my phases of woe is me. I don't want to do this. I hate everything. I hate everyone. But at a certain point, you have to take accountability for you and your new life. And how you want to be and exist in this world with this time, okay? So I know there's a lot of open spaces in this workbook, so this is for you to just take your time. You know what I mean? And get to know who you are at this at the in at today, right now. If if you want to take 6 months to fill out this workbook, you can. If you want to take 6 minutes, 6 days, it's up to you. But I think it's important that we answer these questions. I'm going to do this workbook myself again. Even though I put it together based on how I was able to knock down some of these walls and knock down some of these barriers that were preventing me and keeping me stuck on this hamster wheel. As much as I enjoy and I'm grateful to be a transaction coordinator, I've done it for so long that it became a hamster wheel in my life. And my new passion, not new passion, I've always had like a desire to do it, but my main focus right now and goal is to do more coaching, more content creation, just focus on areas where I can be of service to others more so than just me sitting behind a desk all day pushing papers, which there's nothing wrong with that because I wouldn't be where I'm at without that, without transaction coordination. But transaction coordination was the vehicle that I chose to ride on that opened so many other paths for me. I've met so many other people. I've learned new skills. I've learned so much about myself. I learned how to be self-employed. I learned how to be responsible. I learned how to be accountable and still learning. But it was because I took that leap of faith in the beginning, almost in total, almost 10 years ago, that is now leading me down this other path that I feel a major pulling towards. Whereas if I had just stayed at my 9 to 5, or if I had never questioned, am I even happy doing transaction coordination? It wouldn't have allowed me to create this workbook or to do these live streams. I wouldn't have anything to talk about because I didn't go through it. I had to go through it to get to this point to now give back. So if you feel stuck, I'm not saying quit your job. I'm not saying be self-employed. I'm saying what are some things that we can now shift our mindset to alleviate some of those, some of that anger, extract some of that disdain and resentment from our current jobs. Going back to that gas station example, if I have to work this job at a gas station for the next 6 months, do I want to spend the next 6 months complaining every day? Or can I say, what are some things I love about this current job? So this next page is, what do you love about your current job? Even if you hate it, dig deep and find at least one thing that you love about it for now. And remember that feeling. And in those moments where you want to complain, like, unless you just up and quit, but if you have to be in that job for the next 6 months, what do you love about it? Because that's what's going to get you through. And remembering your why. Okay, why am I working here for the next 6 months? And, you know, why am I, why? Why didn't I get myself out of here sooner? Your why could be because you want to buy a house, because you want to um, be able to quit and support yourself and eventually start that business in real estate, or eventually start that t-shirt business, or eventually, own a gas station. I'm working at this gas station because I want to know how gas stations work. I want to know how to operate one so I can become the general manager, the CEO of Chevron one day. Your why could be, and that's why I have pages where um, I have the dream big section because you may see someone working at a McDonald's or a gas station and be judging them, but they could be working towards becoming the CEO, the owner of franchises, and become one of the richest people in the world because they humbled themselves and they decided to focus on what they love and their why instead of just looking at it as a minimum wage gas station job. So whatever that gas station job is for you, if elevation is your goal, what do you love about what you're doing now? And how can you bottle up some of that love and apply it to the next phases of each job or business that you venture in next? Because I spent years just stuck in complain mode. Ooh, it was ugly. It was ugly. I'm not going to hold you. I was ugly. It was an ugly part of my life where I was just stuck on complain mode. But that's okay. We have to get real with ourselves, which is why I created a section as well that says, what do you dislike about your current job? Is it the way the business is operated? Is it your manager? Is it the way that the shelves are stacked? Is it the way the inventory is taken? Is it how much you get paid? It's a lot easier to complain and list the things we don't like. So go for it. That's why I created this section. Let it out, right? And then once you get through that, and I put a note here, if you're unemployed or ready to quit without a backup plan, then you are in a prime position to redefine and change your life. I know it can be discouraging when no one wants to hire you or even a hit to your ego if you were fired. Again, feel your feels, but don't give up. Based on your personality, your hobbies, your passions, or tasks that brings you joy can also be infused into your next career path. So the old you is gone, but the new you is here. Okay. Now, I put a section here called unemployed. And I just want you to list out your personality, hobbies, passions, and tasks that bring you joy. So that's what this section is here. Is like, even though you're unemployed, put together everything you learned over the years, even if it doesn't make sense. I know how to sew, but I also know how to use Excel. Maybe you need to create a sewing business, a class, a YouTube series, a TikTok series, and you use Excel to document your finances until you can afford to purchase QuickBooks or something like that. You know what I mean? So list out all the jobs, all the skills you have, all there, right? I allowed that space for you to be unemployed, but to know that you're not stuck. All right. Values. Values important, are just as important as having a clear why, because knowing exactly what your dreams and goals are consist of, you want your new life to look and feel like having strong, whoa, I told you, I can read. As important as having a clear why, knowing exactly what your dreams and goals consist of, and how you want your new life to look and feel like, having strong values are just as important. So, do you know your values? What are your values? This has helped me tremendously when I'm interviewing to work with clients because the interview goes both ways. Even though I'm the one seeking it out, I want to make sure that our values are in alignment as well. I have turned down business, I have lost business because our values just kept clashing. And if your value is hard work, no sleep, I'm sorry, we can't work together because I value sleep. I value rest. I value taking breaks. I value quality time with family. And if you're someone that, is on grind mode, that expects me to answer phone calls in the middle of the night, to respond to emails in the middle of the night, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to be that person. There are people out there that are willing to do that. I'm just in a season in my life where I've outgrown that. I've come to realize that there are going to be maybe chunks of my life where that needs to happen, especially now as I'm building out my business, my coaching business. There will be seasons and days, maybe a couple of weeks where I have to be on grind mode. But I'm not going to be on grind mode 365. I'm 41 years old. I know what it takes to put in the work, to lose sleep, to be excited, all of those things. But I also know what I value and what I respect. And I need to uphold those values as much as possible because that will keep me grounded in what I'm doing. So This space is for you to just list out any values that you want to list out. So I have behind me on a piece of paper, I can't move my camera right now because it's on blur mode, but basically I wrote my values. So right now, and I'm going to revisit this to make sure I'm still in alignment because I wrote this out maybe like almost 2 years ago. But fun, respect, creativity, trust, and integrity right now are my top 5 values. You can have one value, you can have many, but I narrowed it down to 5. And as long as my business and my personal choices align with fun, respect, creativity, trust, and integrity, then I'm doing good. But if it goes outside of those bounds, then I have to make sure I'm um, in alignment. Why did I fall out of bounds with those values? What took me off course? What derailed me or what distracted me? So it's all personal. Next segment, and we're almost done, but I wanted to just knock this out, even if it took me 2 hours. But thank you for being here and bearing with me. But the next segment is your time is worth it. So if you're noticing a theme here, uh, care for yourself was all about fixing us internally, physically. Care for your wealth is now fixing, what is our definition of success, wealth, and money? Getting clear on that. And then now your time is worth it. How are we going to be spending our time? Quality over quantity. Do you believe in that? Or is that something irrelevant to you? It's all about quantity. I don't care how I get to it as long as I get to it. But if you're someone that values quality over quantity, use the next pages to track your progress. Take notes, journal your experiences, or whatever you so choose to do with this space. It is yours. And once again, if you're just joining, this is the Clarity Workbook we are going through. You can purchase one at transactioncare.com, or if you want a more comprehensive experience, you can just join my TC community on Patreon, and you get access to the workbook as well as a community of like-minded individuals who are all working and growing, learning and growing together alongside of me within the TC community. So I hope that helps. But again, this is your space to just go in. I hope that this next chapter of your life is fruitful and blessed. I also hope that these exercises have helped you stay uplifted, accountable, encouraged, and have brought light to areas that once lived in the dark. Your new life is up to you to build and love. Yes. One of my mantras all of last year was do the work. And this year I've added do the work with love. I'm going to put that in the chat. Do the work with love. When there's love, that triggers consistency. And when there's consistency, there's progress and action and success and achievement. So when you do things with love, even if you are stuck in a job right now that you don't necessarily enjoy, knowing your why, all of that will take you further than just choosing complaining and being choosing to be miserable. But so as we close out, I want to just wrap up this segment and just, and tell you just enjoy the moment, trust the process, remain a student, take action, and of course, have fun. Cheers to your new life. Now, the next few pages are spaces for gratitude. I mentioned earlier when you're stuck in life and you're just feeling like nothing is going your way, just sit with gratitude. I am grateful for every morning before I touch my phone, before I open a book, before I respond to an email, before anything, even before I use the bathroom. As soon as my body is awake, even if my eyes aren't open, I say, I'm grateful for, or thank you for another beautiful day. Thank you for my life. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the sunshine. Thank you for my blankets that keep me warm. I'm grateful. That goes a long way, starting your morning with that. All right, and then the next space is simply for your journal and your notes. Everything we went through in this workbook, There's extra space here at the end for you to just jot stuff down, to go through it on your own, no pressure. There's no mistakes because it's your life. You have the power to design it any which way you so choose. That's why I put this many pages, and free space, more space for more room for activities. Name that movie. And you can just jot notes here, write down whatever you want, how you're feeling in the moment as you're going through this. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's all there for you. And if you have questions or you want to schedule a one-on-one with me, or if you want to join the community, then let's coordinate. Care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. I offer one-on-one coaching. I made it so easy. Click here. It's going to take you to transactiongear.com. Actually, it's actually going to take you to a calendar. So if you want to schedule one-on-one with me, a discovery call, you can. We can just, I can answer any general questions you have. I can elaborate on this workbook. I can elaborate on what services I offer, but the point is to start, take action with or without me. This is your life, but I'm creating resources that make myself available to you so you can feel less alone, feel less in the dark about these situations. And like I said, just start. You just have to start. Are you ready? I'm ready. And then the end is just a little bit about me. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily. I didn't give an intro in the beginning because I just wanted to jump straight into it. But if you want to know a little bit about me, I put a little bit of a bio in the end with a little cute photo of me. I might be rebranding, so stay tuned. But for now, this was the Clarity Workbook. My acknowledgments. Thank you to my boss, God, the Lord, and thank you. Thank you for being in this live stream. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about the Clarity Workbook, we're going to go back to the top. It's there, it's available. I'm going to make a couple updates because I noticed some typos during this presentation, which is fine. I'm not going to let it ruin my day. I hope it doesn't ruin your day. Just know that everything can be fixed and edited and altered. But if you do have any questions, and if you were in this all 96 plus minutes, thank you so much. If you're watching the replay, shout out to you. It's going to live on YouTube. I'm going to post it as well into the community for you guys to rewatch. And stay tuned for more. I think I'm going to do more workshops and live streams like this, but instead of going through the whole workbook, we're just going to break it up and let that be the content. So maybe next week we'll focus on just our why. And then the week after that, we'll focus on why am I stuck on this hamster wheel? But also stay tuned. Just some announcements if you're still here. Subscribe to Transaction Care or follow me on TikTok. I'm most active there. I schedule content on all platforms. So I do exist there. I'm building my community, building brand awareness as we speak. I love doing these live streams. So stay tuned for more live streams. The Keys podcast on the way. Just stay tuned. Okay, that is something I'm approaching with care. Thekeyspodcast.com. That is something I am approaching with care. So I don't want to rush that process, but I do believe that in some way, shape, or form, we should be documenting our process, whether it's through live streaming, podcasting, YouTube, content creation, whatever the case may be. If you're at a starting point in your career where you don't know what you want to do, just document it. Just talk about it. Let it be messy. Let it be disorganized. And the more you do it, the more you'll be able to refine it and see like, okay, I didn't like how I posted that day, or I actually have more time in the evening to post. So let me post it in, every day at 6 o'clock. Start small, then build up. But for now, it's all about just taking action, starting, and having clarity. So check out the Clarity Workbook, visit transactioncare.com, and stay tuned. Podcast, YouTube, live streams, coaching, one-on-one coaching. If I get enough people, I'll probably start a group coaching cohort or something like of that nature. If you want to learn more about transaction coordination as a career, as a job, I highly suggest you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Transaction Care. That platform is going to be exclusive to just transaction coordination. The Keys podcast or anything I do outside of transaction care is going to be more mindset driven and focused and talking and maybe doing more interviews and having more conversations with people within the industry or people I admire or just based around topics I want to learn about that can be beneficial not just to our careers and our business, but even our personal well-being. So all of that is going to live for now on my main website, transactioncare.com. You're going to be seeing a lot of my face, God willing, on these platforms. And I just want to give you guys as many keys as possible. And I just know that if you stick with me, we're going to get far together. All right, guys. So with all that said, thank you again for watching. Whether you were in here live, say hello. If you're in the replay, say hello, drop a comment. But until the next one, care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Talk soon. Transactioncare.com. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right. See you, TikTok. All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening. We did it. We did it. We're on YouTube. I realized I didn't hit recording on the Zoom, but hey, you live and you learn. If you're still here, appreciate you. And bye. Care for yourself, care for your wealth. And make sure you purchase the Clarity Workbook. $7 to change your life. It's worth it.